Hello, I'm Stacy Couch of Wild Gratitude. Thank you for joining me. You can find me on my website at wildgratitude.com. Today I'm going to talk about a more uplifting topic. The last couple of videos I spoke a lot about why soul parts leave and also the causes of soul loss. These things were both looking at spiritual illness, and any conversation or inquiry into illness can get be a little bit of a downer at times. So today I want to take the opportunity and raise things back up and let you know that you are empowered to prevent soul loss in your life and give you 11 ways actually on how to do that. This is just going to help give you some extra incentive to keep up doing the good things that you're doing, or to start back on the path of the great things the ways you know how to take care of yourself, and also to continue learning about these things. We study different practices of self-reflection, of meditation, because we know that it has great physical benefits. We know that it helps our adrenals, that it helps our digestion, that it helps our energy levels, it helps us sleep better, all of those reasons. There's great physical benefits to these things I'm going to talk about, but there's also great mental and emotional benefits. We're way more even keel, we can handle a lot more outside influences in our lives. But it's even more incentive to know that you are actually preventing soul loss in your life by taking advantage of and working on yourself. So let's jump right in. And the first one I'm going to talk about is prayer. And I'm going to put prayer in the same category as contemplation, because I know that prayer can be kind of a tricky word for some of you. But ultimately, what I want to do is encourage you to, if nothing else, read the words of great mystics. They can be great Hindu mystics, Buddhist mystics, Catholic mystics, but I'm talking the greats. I'm talking like Rumi. I'm talking Saint John of the Cross. I'm talking about Thomas Merton. I'm talking about the really, really devout mystics who spent their whole lives in service to God or Source or the Beloved. And then to not just read their contemplations on life, but to read their conversations with the Beloved. Those are so nurturing. Those conversations are so nurturing for the soul. And if you do nothing but read a little bit of that every day, that kind of soul nourishing text, that is awesome. If you can take that over and make it your own, and either write or say or think your own prayers that are heartfelt words to the One, I encourage that. This sort of practice, and on a daily basis if you can manage it, will really help with protecting you against soul loss, and really just ultimately help the health of your soul and your overall well-being. That said, number 2 is centering. So I actually separate centering from grounding, because to me centering is not only in space, to have all of you here but in the now. So time is another piece of centering. So not be caught back in the past on something that happened a long time ago. Sorry for the noise there. And also not be projected ahead into the future. To have all of you here and now with what's going on, not wishing for something different. And that is a practice that you'll have to work at in quiet when there's no distractions, and then you can start to bring into your daily life when there are distractions of, I was just thinking about something that happened a long time ago that reminds me of this situation, but this situation might be different. Let me engage with the now. Or, I've just started projecting forward what I'm going to be doing later in the afternoon, and I was not listening to this person that was talking to me and really needed my attention. So that's how a centering practice comes into the here and now and into the daily, but it starts out on its own as part of your contemplation time in the morning or the evening or whenever you can make it happen for yourself. And some people would call it being present, which is exactly the same thing. Centering just is one word and a way to make it sound very active. Grounding. have a whole post on my blog about how to ground, and I also bring in different stones that you can use to help you ground that one of my friends recommends. So what I'll do is I'll post a link to that blog post underneath this video. But in the meantime, for those of you who maybe want an idea of what grounding looks like, it's really about being in your body and feeling yourself in the earth. So on the earth. So it may be visualizing roots going down through your body, through your legs, through the bottoms of your feet into the ground. It may be envisioning yourself as a tree. It may be standing with your hands on a tree. It may be holding a stone and feeling that weight bring you down into the mother. But keeping yourself here in this lifetime will help nourish your soul and help look after your well-being overall. So very important to have good access and a good practice with grounding, and know that and the difference that grounding is from centering. Because with grounding, with people who aren't grounded, ungrounded people are people who are floating in their heads and their ideas in their minds, or up in the clouds. Or I have people tell me they don't feel like they're in their bodies. That's a person who's ungrounded. It can also be a person who's not centered, but you can be out of your body and in the here and now. So that's why I separate the two. Okay, enough of that. All right, number 4 is self-reflection. And I call it self-reflection versus shadow work, but shadow work does come in. But I think that the self-reflective process needs to be compassionate and not blaming. Because if we get into this process of looking for our demons, of breaking our patterns, we can really get aggressive towards ourselves, and we need to come forward with such compassion for ourselves. That's what's going to keep our soul parts here and going to keep our soul healthy. And ways to do that: spend time reflecting back on how you've come along, how you've evolved, what progress you've made, what resources within yourself you've tapped into. And then spend time looking at, wow, what do I need to grow in my life or evolve in me? What is asking to be transformed right now? And that is a different way of asking the question than, what is this ugly pattern that I need to break? Instead, saying, what belief am I still holding on to that is not serving where I'm going? Different, more compassion. So make sure to bring compassion into your self-reflective process, and in that way, your self-reflective process will help prevent soul loss. Okay, number 5 is very simply, I'm giving you the kind of spectrum here. You can start with simple breath work. You can learn that in a yoga class, or you can just listen to a guided meditation. But something where you start practicing with breath in a real way, so it can help bring you back and clear your mind. And then the more advanced level would be full-on meditation. And mindfulness is really the overarching description for breath work to meditation. If you can have some sort of mindfulness practice where you can quiet down that chatter in your mind and come into silence and stillness. Silence and stillness are great remedies for the soul. Okay, so when something is happening in the moment, a couple things you can do to help yourself stay together and not fragment is to stay with the situation. This is the same idea of centering, but stay with the situation, the experience, the conversation as much as you can, and stay there as a witness. So this would be really number 6, is be a witness in your life as much as you can, but especially in situations where you're triggered, you feel emotional, scared, upset, angry, tearful, however that looks for you. If you feel that rising up, or you feel your fist clenching up, whatever indication you have that you're coming into a problem, a situation where soul loss may be an option on the table, unfortunately, the more you can do to stay a witness and not leave. Sometimes we think of being a witness as standing outside of the situation over here and watching in. No, just being a witness is less needing to respond right away, but just allowing the information of the situation to flow into you so that you can sit with it for as long as you need. Sometimes it may need to be beyond the situation. Sometimes it may be a couple moments of the situation is all you need to sit with it. But that's what I mean by stay with it. Stay with what's going on. Don't fragment off and have your thoughts wander off, making assumptions, getting offended, getting angry, going on a rant in your head, or even out loud to someone. Move into it. So if you're in a situation where you feel like soul loss or like the integrity of your soul is being jeopardized. Soul loss is an option. Integrity of your soul is being jeopardized. If you feel like that's happening, this is a great opportunity to call on courage. Number 7. So call up the courage within your soul. Trust in that courage of your soul. Trust in what you have available to you and call that forth. That's what I mean by move into it. You have courage. Don't let your mind tell you otherwise. Number 8, I think I'm at now, yeah. Number 8 is know when to retreat. So all that said, I'm saying stay in, stay with it, be a witness, move into it, be courageous. And then if all else fails, or if you just know in your bones that you are not going to make it through this and you do not have what you need on deck, or you are just being pulled too far off center, know when to retreat. Give yourself that permission. So many instances of soul loss happen because we are forced physically to stay in a situation we cannot bear. And that's what happens in childhood, is children don't have the physical capacity to get themselves out of a lot of situations, out of a home that's abusive, out of a bullying situation at school. They have to be there. They don't have permission to leave. Give yourself permission to leave and know that you have that option on the table and know when to use it. This is number 9. So your intuition. This is what you need. This is what you need to decide whether to be a witness, get courageous, or retreat. So developing a great rapport with your intuition. We all have intuitive abilities. It's not some silly gift that only a few gifted people were born with. Intuition is something we all have. It's like eyesight or hearing. It's something we were born with. So developing your rapport and your relationship with your own intuition outside of these tricky situations is what's going to help you in the times where soul loss might be an option. So hopefully that makes sense. Developing your relationship with your intuition. A good short tip for how to do that would be every evening, if you can, before you go to bed, list 3 times, just 3, in the day when you listen to your intuition. And it can be as simple as, I went to eat that hot dog for lunch and instead I had a kale salad. That was me today. The hot dogs are really healthy hot dogs, but still a hot dog. So, from Applegate Farms, humanely raised beef, still a hot dog, and I went for the kale salad. So even something as simple as what you choose to eat, even something as simple as instead of leaving 5 minutes early for work, you stay 5 minutes longer to check in with your spouse. And just really make sure you know how they're doing and that you're there for them. And you might find out that it was needed. You might find out that it was. You may never find out if it was needed or not. But you followed your intuition regardless of needing proof. So 3 things. Yep, 3 things that you can give as to how you followed your intuition that day. And you'll start to see that you really do have an intuitive sense and you are following it in both small and big ways. And the big ones, when you do follow your intuition in a big way, you may even want to spend more time thinking about how that had an impact in your life. Okay, my notes are making a lot of noise, so I'm just going to pull them down. Okay. All right, 2 more left to go. So next one is know your boundaries. So I was talking about know when to retreat, know your boundaries. So much soul loss happens from not having any boundaries or from not honoring your own boundaries and asking others to do the same. And our boundaries, note, they can change over time, and they're going to evolve over time. You're going to be able to, I don't want to say necessarily put up with more, but you're going to be able to handle more and be offended by less as you develop in your practice. And I'm sure many of you know what I'm talking about, because many of you already are very deep and evolved in your spiritual practice. But regardless, be willing to let your boundaries be flexible and transform and change. And so that's why it's important to know them, because we sometimes think when we first get into setting boundaries, when we learn what boundaries are, we learn, oops, I just really had this crappy situation happen to me because I didn't set good boundaries. We think of boundaries as like this concrete thing that once we set them in stone, that's how they're always going to be. Unfortunately, that is not the case. Life would be, I think, a lot easier. Maybe, I don't know, maybe not as rich if that were the case. But the thing is our boundaries shift and change as we do. As we develop more courage, as we develop more compassion, as we're able to be more of a witness in our lives, our boundaries can become softer and not as harsh, and they can be where we once had to have a boundary because of some soul loss. If we work to heal that soul loss and we no longer have that fear, that pattern, or that belief, then that boundary will dissolve altogether and we can let someone in that place. So that's what I mean, know your boundaries, because they're going to change. And if you don't stay abreast of them, it's going to be really hard to look after them and tend the fence in your garden is essentially what a boundary is. It's a fence in your garden that keeps the rabbits from coming and eating your cabbage. And then another, and the last one, so number 11 of my 10, is to be vulnerable. Sounds odd, doesn't it? Because with soul loss and any trauma of any sort in our lives, we often want to go ahead and shore up. We want to prevent the situation from happening to us ever again. I don't ever want that to happen to me, and I want to make sure that it never happens to anyone else too. Sometimes it's that bad for us. And that shoring up and shutting off and closing off from the world actually closes us off from love, actually closes us off from grace. And without love, without grace in our lives, we cannot protect ourselves from soul loss. It's actually, we are safer when we're vulnerable, when we're open to the world, when we are loving, when we are allowing love in and to move in and through us to others. So, all good food for thought. Seems a little counterintuitive, but it's true. Trust me. So thank you so much for joining me this week, and I look forward to checking in with you again. Next time we will talk about, how do I know if I need a soul retrieval? I've had a number of people lately ask me, well, if I think they need a soul retrieval, and I don't know. It's not for me to decide. I am not the oracle. I'm not the psychic. So this is my opportunity to help you delve into an inquiry as to if you know if now is the time for a soul retrieval for you or not, and how often. I often have people ask me, how often do I need a soul retrieval? That is also a very personal question that I very much want to leave in your hands, but I don't want to leave you floating out in the ocean unassisted. So I'll give you some advice on how to answer those 2 questions yourself, so that next time you answer me, I can refer you to the video and help give you an opportunity to find the answers for yourself, because I'm all about direct revelation and personal empowerment. So thank you so much for joining me, and look forward to seeing you again next time. Take care.